Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to LGD.CDEC versus Invictus Gaming. It's the first day of Starladder China action out of a total of, I believe it's 7. I'm LD of Beyond the Summit. I'm joined here today by Blaze, and both teams, Blaze, currently are 0-0, looking for their first win. And, well, that being said, it's been a pretty quick draft, so running through it off the bat, we had a Brewmaster first overall pick. The bans look pretty standard. Razor, Scarth Mage was the reply, so they get a silence to help control the Brewmaster. Razor to lane against him, perhaps, and beat him one-on-one. You've got a Batrider reply for IG. Speaking of IG, they are running a new roster now. June and Cheesebug have joined the team, so Cheesebug, legendary support who stood in for them at WCG, used to play on back of some of the big Chinese squads if you look back 3-4 years ago. And he's actually been on the IG roster, I think, the entire time. I know he was on the roster for like 3 or 4 years, even though he wasn't active in any tournaments besides WCG because they had rules about nationality, so Chuan could not play for the team at that event. But yeah, with that being said, second round of bans, nothing too exciting here. And then, well, we move into the second phase of picks. So it's going to be a Rubik from LGD.CDEC. They get a great response to the Brewmaster. And they've actually got 2 supports to deal with him really nicely, as well as a way to deal with the Batrider initiation that might come through. So, well, a lot of catch-up to do with the draft, so apologies for running my mouth off, Blaze, but good to have you back, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. Good to see these guys are really prepared with their strategies and looking to be very active in this game. This isn't going to be a farm fest. This isn't going to be sit back and try to turtle up for late game. This is going to be a very active game, perhaps a bloodbath, to be honest, because there are so many great skills that you can use to get the edge in your opponent. A lot of them very easy to underestimate as well. So maybe some mistakes, some overextensions, and some heavy punishment. We'll have to see. The Centaur Warrunner Stampede, I think, is going to be really a huge aspect of how LGD chooses to engage, whether the Razor can get in position to get the most out of his static link and his close proximity abilities, or if he's going to be able to escape a pretty heavy gank. But for starters, we're just going to see that basic Shadow Demon Mirana combo dominating the laning phase and trying to control whatever carry is picked up, most likely by LGD.CDEC.
Yeah, and speaking of LGD.CDEC, they have a fantastic Tinker player on this team, so wondering if maybe he'll be the last choice, as they nearly beat LGD with it. And actually, did they beat them with it? I can't remember if they won the game. They had a great game though in WC. I was casting Starladder SEA, so I was like half watching the game at the time. But yeah, I remember being really impressed by their Tinker play. So, well, interested to see if they go that direction, as it would be okay this game. IG really only have the Batrider as a hero that can run around the map dealing with him, and they don't have particularly. They have a decent dual roam combo as well, I suppose. So they do have some ways to try and shut Tinker down in the laning stage. But that being said, I feel like he could have a very nice start this game. And if you get to the late game, then really there's only the Batrider hunt him in the tree lines.
Yep, but still, that late game Batrider has a lot of potential, and right now they don't have a great set of heroes to respond with. Like, Rubik obviously can steal Disruption, which would be a great tool to use defensively on a lasso target, but otherwise that lasso will persist, will continue to pull somebody out of position, and they'll just have to choose how they engage from there, whether they kind of clump up into the Brewmaster's open arms and eat a lot of damage, or if they try to just go for the disengage with the Stampede and pick their battles elsewhere. But early roaming from perhaps the Skywrath Rubik is going to be potent as well. It's not just going to be the arrows connecting, it's going to be some really extensive magical burst damage coming out from those two. So it's got to be very careful positioning and very active warding coming out from both sides to make sure that they're not feeding away the early kills, which can establish a huge amount of momentum for a lot of these heroes.
Yep, that's very true. And IG will ban a Slark, so maybe he's played Razor in the past for the team and seems to be their Razor player, though. I mean, it's a pretty easy and flexible hero for anyone to play at this level, but yeah, he is their Tinker player as well. So if they want to go that direction, then we'll see the Razor handed off to someone else. I'm imagining XH, most likely, maybe 333, but yeah, let's see if they go that route. I want to see Tinker, but no, not gonna be Tinker. Totally different direction. Forget everything I just said. They go Juggernaut, and it is a pretty decent hero versus Mirana Shadow Demon with the Magic Community. A bit harder to land the arrow combo. You have to have it perfectly timed, so the arrow's like on top of him as disruption ends, and even if you hit the combo, finishing him off can be difficult without some follow-up damage. So I like this. It gives them potential for really hard 5-man with the Razor, and I mean, the one thing I'm wondering, Blaze, is this a core Juggernaut? Is there any chance we see that support Juggernaut and maybe like Skywrath Mage go into a farming role this game, or You think it's just a straight support or straight
That's the
core?
exact question that's on my mind as well. We see actually a lot of teams right now running support Juggernaut, particularly with Rubik. So that's the combo that you might be looking for if they want to go for a core Skywrath. The nice thing about Sky is that he has a lot of base movement speed, so he can avoid those early ganks from the Shadow Demon Mirana, dodge arrows better, things of that nature. So if they did want to run the core Sky, I think they have the lineup to do it and just get boots first on the Juggernaut, and he can still be very prevalent. We've seen Western teams like Sneaky Nix Assassins running very effective support Juggernaut. We've seen Southeast Asian team like Winter's Johnny's Revenge also running this strategy very effectively. So if that's something they want to go with, there's a lot of potential there. But as far as I can tell, it's going to be XH, their number one position, picking up the Juggernaut. So at least as far as what I know of this roster, that does imply that it is going to be a farming away.
That looks to be a core. It is normally Q and Garter who are playing the support roles for this team. So, well, with that being said, we're gonna hop into the game momentarily and introduce the teams. But yeah, I was looking forward to like that Lanham style support jug. Well, it seems it's not to be. And with that being said, let's run through the rosters here for LGD.CDEC. For both teams, guys, first game of Starladder China. They all have 7 to play in total, and the first place team at the end of the group stage will punch their ticket to Kiev. The last time it was IG who earned a spot from IG and DK who earned the spots from China, but this time around, well, we start with XH playing the Juggernaut. 333 will be on the Centaur Warrunner. Maybe handling your Razor. That puts Q onto the Rubik. Garter onto the Skywrath Mage. LGD.CDEC moving into the Invictus Gaming Jungle. 5-manning down south, and well, on IG it's also a new roster here. June will be playing the Bat Rider. That puts Cheesebug or CH onto your support Shadow Demon. Chuan handling the support Mirana, and he has been legendary on this hero in the past. 430 will be playing the Brew, and that does leave Luo going mid as the carry Naga.
Yeah. Chuan loves the Radiant side to gank up the mid lane as well. Like, he usually kind of camps around the position where they kind of warded a little bit on the tree line and just fire arrows left and right to mid, especially when nighttime strikes. Around the 4 or 5 minute mark is really when he's going to be looking for a lot of easy picks. But he's actually going to use his first arrow of the game to scout out Roche. They apparently were afraid a little bit of a level 1 Roshan, but I really don't think that's possible with the lineup. Like, Healing Ward's great, but you would have to commit a lot of resources to make that happen. I guess they just don't want it to be a possibility, and with the free mana that you essentially get regenerating over time, you might as well throw that one out.
Yeah, I also want to point out the Radiant team did drop down this Observer Ward like seconds before this Dire Observer Ward came out, so if they were watching, they should know, and we may see June get an early D Ward here on the back of that placement, which wouldn't really be the biggest deal since it's just going to be a 1v1 matchup, but hey, you know, free 50 gold in his pocket. So yeah, mid lane, this is the matchup that we saw last game, except there was support going against the Naga. Or, sorry, against the Razor. The Naga had a Scarth Mage at her side. But this time around, Luo is just going to be 1v1 against maybe. Is the Radiant Naga, though, Blaze? So, as we often talk about, makes it a bit easier to stay in the lane. And yeah, they did D-ward off the bat.
Yep. So most of the action is going to be on the Tri versus Tri, but Luo actually loses a lot of damage to start things off. Or actually, no, that's his illusion getting leached away. So maybe he's going to get the nice bonus, but of course, Luo is still going to be able to last it effectively with Riptide as well as auto attacks. The first rune is going to be a double damage bottom. I think that's going to be sitting there for a couple of minutes because there's really no reason for either of these 1v1 matchups to rotate away just to pick that one up, at least until the bottles come through. And even then, you're not really exhausting that much of your HP and mana pool this early.
Yeah, if it was top rune, it might be worth it, but bottom rune's always a bit of a trek, and you're bound to miss at least 1 to 2 creeps doing that in most cases, unless you really push the lane hard, and then you're giving your opponent some easier CS under the tower if you're the Razor in particular. So we see Luo get the bottle, and he will have access to these early camps. We see Mud Golem spawning. Not ideal for a Naga, but on the Radiant side, expecting we'll see Luo going for some early stacks and just looking to farm with that max Riptide. And yeah, it'll basically just be a farm fest mid, most likely. And as for our bottom lane, Bat Rider versus Centaur, there is a bit of kill potential here for Bat if Centaur overextends, but yeah, that requires some sloppy play from 333, and with the Magic Stick and Boots now coming out, he's playing quite well and pretty defensively overall.
Yep. But maybe is CSing extremely well here. I think actually the illusion last hits count for on the last hit chart as well, because he has more than have actually spawned at that point in time when I was looking at it. But either way, he gets an extremely fast bottle on top of his Wraith Band, as well as a couple branches, and he's even going to be able to bottle up that double damage rune. So at this point, laning wise, he is just absolutely dominating. 15 and 7 over Naga's 7 and 0, and yeah, they're going to have to rotate. The smoke is available for the Shadow Demon. They have the Disruption Arrow combo. No Soul Catcher, but still a lot of potential if they want to make their way there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if they go mid, this could backfire very badly because they only have the arrow stun, and I'm not sure if that's enough burst against the double damage Razor, but they actually do make their way top. IG trying to run a little loop-de-loo action against LGD.CDEC, but going on the Juggernaut, as I mentioned earlier, like, you really have to get the arrow perfect so it is on top of the model as the disruption ends, and just not the ideal target to go on. They'd much rather get one of these supports, but we'll see if they chance it as the smoke is revealed, and then H will come in. Chuan looking for the arrow. Nah, not even going to bother. He knows that's just not the target they want.
Yeah, so the smoke is a little bit wasted there. They don't really get any more surprise than they would out of the Fog of War in general, but at least being missing off the map, maybe getting the Razor a little uncertain about where he should position. So far, the wave has been pushed out pretty well on his steps, but if he did have to move out, then obviously missing supports do give him cause to concern. Anyways, down bottom, it's a pretty casual matchup here. June spamming with a Napalm. Centaur has a magic stick early.
I thought maybe he was going to dive for this. He has a double damage rune. He's hitting for 193 and had the static link going against a Naga with no boots. Honestly, I think he could have dove that for first blood, but maybe worried about the supports being off the top lane and didn't want to chance it. No pun intended, actually. I feel like that one's going to happen more than once.
Sure enough. But yeah, TP Disruption could easily bring that to a turnaround first blood. Looks like actually maybe he's getting really lucky in these runes here. He's going to be able to bottle up the bottom regen. But yeah, right now he doesn't have to be aggressive. He's winning the lane so hard that even if he doesn't get like a kill out of this, he's still keeping control of the Naga Siren. She's not getting stacks of the Western Radiant jungle because her supports are preoccupied top, so she's not going to be able to rebound as quickly. She'll still get some CS here and there, but suppressed for the time being, and this is kind of what we were talking about last game, where if he doesn't get the support 2 versus 1 play, then in general the Razor's going to heftily win out this matchup, maybe pick up the mechanism before Naga gets any real items up, and even help out his team across the board.
This is really unfortunate for Maybe. He's made a long journey bottom lane. Only has a regen rune, and they've got a ward here. They've spotted this one out, remember. And earlier this game we saw the D ward as well, so. And it's a lot of waste of time, and this is going to help Luo's economy a little bit. Back up to 22 CS. Honestly, I'm a little surprised he went bottom anyway. They do lasso 3-3-3 though, and pull him back into the tower. They saw the Razor rotating off the lane and immediately punish him. And not only does the Razor's rotation not work, but first blood goes the way of IG. Great start for them.
I think the Centaur from here should TP top and try to go for a Stampede play. Like, right now there aren't that many wards up on the map at this point in the game, and if he could actually surprise them up top and try to get a turnaround double, it would absolutely make up for the first blood that he suffered already. But if he just wants to keep his matchup going 1v1, he can just make the trek down, and it looks like that's what he's going to do. Not even waiting for the Tranquil Boots, the Ring of Protection there. He just wants to get down as quickly as possible and get back to farming some experience. But this time it's going to be against the Mirana. Chuan is down here, setting up shop to gain some nice levels for himself, a little bit of gold here and there as well. And it's going to be Batrider to actually start stacking and farming up the jungle for himself.
And I like this because, like, their other lanes aren't really suffering. Brewmaster Shadow Demon, very difficult to kill that lane. And your mid lane Naga, sending support there, probably isn't going to help her at this stage of the game. So they're just getting more off the map. And now we see the Rubik rotate bottom. The ward has expired as it was placed pretty early on. Wonder if they can set something up here. Chuan seems to know what they're up to. And now June comes in. Invis, no lasso for 15, but looking to set up another kill. If he gets this one, he'll have his Blink Dagger. And IG just having the superior movement through the laning stage. It looked like the lane mid was going to be a real problem for them, but at the end of the day, Naga's only 10 CS down in a very lopsided matchup, so great start for him.
Yeah, we're going to see the Firefly attempted. He was looking for the lasso, but he actually didn't have the mana for it. I guess it was just a bit of harassment, but if they had gone for just lasso into arrow, then they certainly had more potential for the kill. In the end, it's just going to be a startled Centaur stampeding away, and not really much happening otherwise. We're going to see Luo pop out the illusions, do some CS with those in the jungle with 3 points on Riptide, and like you said, he hasn't really been suffering too much on the lane. Was deprived early, but after the rotations come through. With a hero that isn't that great at roaming, they are able to just kind of reconcile that fact.
No, arrow
Feel
coming
confident.
out from Chuan. Straight onto the top lane. It is going to... Oh, no, just hit a creep. That looked real close. That creep was like inches from his face. Now the turn on to 430. There are phase boots up here on XH, but defensive disruption secures the escape of the brew, and it's just a lot of wasted time. Well, in the mid lane, Rubik makes a move in. He will D-ward a hill ward, and perhaps on the back of that D-ward they can go for a smoke gank mid fairly soon, but overall farming well, and now we'll see. June back to the base, gets the blink. Immediately the smoke purchase. This one purchased by the Shadow Demon, and June looks to make his mark mid lane. Difficult target to lasso with the only 1 point unstable curd, but still very annoying against that purge.
Arrow will connect up top. They get some damage out of the clap, and Juggernaut's actually going to take a spill here. Doesn't even get the chance to spin. Didn't react fast enough, and as a result, they are able to get a very important and clean kill up on the Juggernaut. So that delays his Omni Slash. Obviously, he's been farming very actively for them, so any way they can just stifle his momentum is huge, and of course you get some great gold on the supports. Now smoking up, June wants to make a play with this freshly picked up Blink Dagger, and he's going to go right on to the Rubik.
Jumps on the Rubik. Garter will throw out the concussive shot to try and slow the pursuit. Now 430 being silenced will clap and tries to make his retreat. Damage stolen, but not quite enough by the Razor to finish the job until the Blade Fury and the nuke from the Scar do the trick. Now they get CH as well. Can they find any more? Chuan makes his way out. It is a pretty nice turn there for LGD.CDEC, but required 5 heroes to come top, while Naga is farming mid in the meantime.
Juggernaut spinning with the Stampede is actually very scary. You really can't get away from that. We've seen one defensive disruption come out to try to nullify its effects, but in general, they don't have an answer. Even the Demonic Purge, which is usually the go-to answer when a Blade Fury comes out, is not...
If you use Blade Fury after the Stampede, does it cancel it? Like how it cancels like a haste burn?
I do not believe so. I think it stays on, but it's not one that I have tested thoroughly.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty nice combo then. I mean, either way, you could just wait, but... or use it first and then wait to Stampede. So, well, with that being said, LGD.CDEC, they have the healing ward out, level 1 only. He's gone for a casual point and crit, but now they will look to do a bit of pushing here. Level 1 ward it's a little underwhelming, I have to say, for pushing in general. This is one of those skills that gets much, much stronger when you level it up.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's really good for this pushing, farming ancients, a lot of different things all at once, but as long as you keep it up for the full duration, it's still making an impact here. The tier 1 tower will fall, and it's going to be by the hands of the Racer.
That base damage. Not much chance for June. And now the smoke from IG.
So
Once
they
again,
really need to
Blink
make
Dagger's
something
ready,
happen.
Lasso is ready, and they're going to find maybe in the river. This is a big kill on the Razor. Pulling him directly back into the Chuan arrow. No, not even pulling him. Just holding him in position so Chuan won't miss his arrow. And then the Starfall. Double proccing to secure the kill. Space created for 430, who now rotates bottom and looks to farm up his Blink Dagger. Definitely wants to get this quickly, and once they get that, they've got double Blink. Naga farming really well. Luo is rushing the Radiance, not going for the Ring of a kill, and he's on pace to have a Relic by like the 13-minute mark or so if he's not ganked soon. This is scary for LGD.CDEC.
Yeah, I was seeing that. I was really uncertain if he was actually going to go for the full bare bones build. It makes him very vulnerable to, if Centaur picks up an early Blink, to be picked off because he just doesn't have the raw HP to work with. But as it stands, he's gotten tons of solo experience. He's up to level 9 now, and yeah, he, like you said, is only 700 gold off. So this is pretty awesome for him. And it looks like they will have enough time. There's going to be a clap after
to start, and
disruption.
the clap's coming out from 430. No, good lift from Q. Tosses him back, tries to TP up, but that clap crit nearly killed him from full health with the 1 point in Soul Catcher. And so far, IG supports have been making all the plays. Yet to really see anything accomplished by the Skywrath Mage or the Rubik. Good laning supports, but just not having the impact of Chuan and Cheesebug.
Yeah, in general, it's just so much easier to play this game as a Shadow Demon, able to play reactively and able to see what's coming. If you get hit by a Centaur Stomp, you get a defensive disruption on somebody, and they're going to be able to live at least for another several seconds. And when you get the openings to follow it up with arrows, with clap, this is just the best game you can have to be a Shadow Demon, and of course that's why they set him up for it. Cheesebug is going for this interesting build 1, 1, and 3, so he's going to be able to output a lot of magic damage personally, but that's not until he actually gets some mana sustainability, at least Arcane Boots.
And it looks like IG might be looking for another rotation. They may run into multiple heroes from LGD.CDEC. June looking for a haster and will grab it. And maybe just doesn't want to get near that rune. They have smoked on 2. Garter and 333. And they did spot this rune pickup, so I'm surprised they're committing to this one, but they'll find the 430 kill quickly just before the hasted Bat Rider can come in. Do they still look to jump this? Thinking about it on the bat. He wants to... June? June? No, he's going to back. Didn't I lay down too much... Oh, okay, got on the creeps just barely, and that will slow down the push while Luo already has Relic online. So now the waiting game begins. With the Brewmaster dead, he has Blink, but wasn't able to get the ult off in that fight thanks to the Scarth Mage sound, so they may be forced to just sack this tier 1 bottom, and they'll get the trade as the thing blaze. In fact, not even a trade, just a clean tier 1 mid, it looks like.
No, they're really afraid of that primal split. The TP Blink initiation from Brewmaster would be just resounding as far as how that team fight would turn around. They would, of course, have the Stampede to try to disengage, but maybe if the Naga got in and stare on somebody, or they, of course, get the lasso or an arrow, then that's still not going to be enough to save you. So in the end, they're just they get cold feet, they do fall back, and it's just going to be a favorable exchange for IG as
look for the jump on Cheese Bug, caught by the stomp, now the double edge, and see ya. Really nowhere to go at that point. Now smoke. IG will rotate bottom. They lose their Shadow Demon, but to me, Blaze, it feels like they can still fight, even if he's not there. As long as they get the Brew split off, this will just be LGD.CDEC having to run away.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the spell steal from the Rubik as well, but this opening is just perfect for the Bat Rider to jump in.
Lasso's immediately onto XH, trying to focus him down while the Brew split is there. And Q, he's only stolen Sticky Napalm, not the ideal spell. They'll bring down the Juggernaut, cycloning up the Razor in the air while they try to deal with these backline supports. Q and Garter, both driven back, maybe also forced to retreat out, but he's taking a little bit too much damage from the Brew lane. He will, at that time, pop his magic wand, and it looks like they might be able to turn this. The Scarth Mage Silence, it's enough. They end up surviving and turning this fight. The only casualty was XH. Oops, no, don't need the console there. It did force out a buyback on him. Well, it didn't force out, but he chose to buy back to take the tier 1 bottom. Still, a 2-for-1 exchange with a buyback.
Yeah, I mean, he even was able to put up a fight, even with his first life. Still got the Omni Slash off, still was able to kill off the Bat Rider, so it was a good attempt to initiate there, but in the end, it just proved ineffectual, as we already have a good amount of durability on a lot of these heroes. The Juggernaut, his state of immunity, oh, big arrow coming out.
Still, that is a 14-minute Radiance. It's already up.
Yeah.
And you look at LGD.CDEC, like, they really don't have much of a lineup to gank a Naga. In terms of instant initiations, there's maybe a Blink lift from Rubik. Blink Stomp if you can come around the tree line on the Centaur, but realistically, Blaze, it's going to be tough to keep the Naga down.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be extremely difficult, and it's why IG has been willing to fight 3v5 and 4v5 under towers just to create space for Luo, because in the end, it's going to be so much more valuable to get this item on the Naga than for LGD.CDEC to get anything else across the map. In fact, I'm really surprised, again, that we see this Midas build up on the Razor up against the Naga Siren. It just feels like it delays everything just that much more, as they haven't been able to push with a mechanism, and as a result have just taken towers slower and slower.
It just seems like the whole idea of this draft was like, you get Healing Ward, you've got Razor as a good 5-man hero, you've got good early game damage from your Rubik and Scarth, and a Centaur who once he gets a Blink can force the fights. You should be looking to press your advantage, not just sit back and farm, but now we'll have to see what their plan B is. I mean, that being said, Blaze, we've seen it before where it's like, okay, on paper this team's got better late game with the Naga Siren, but then you're faced up with the cold hard reality of Razor with Aghanims, Refresher, 2-3 more items. Like, it does get to a point where Razor can hold his own against almost anyone, even late game, but I mean, that being said, Naga's just going to get there quicker in most cases. Arrow connects on XH top lane. He didn't react in time with the Blade Fury, and looks like he will go down now. Cleaned up by 430 with a clap and just a few slaps from that ninja, or that. I guess it's a sword, is it?
In this case here, obviously he's switched up his weapon a couple of times, but yeah, it's a blade in this case.
Where's the nunchuck at, man? That's where it's at.
Seriously. But that's the second time the Juggernaut's been picked off like that. Like, I'm not exactly sure if it's just, I'm sure they're not running on that high of latency in this scenario, so it's really just got to be him looking for it, keeping his eye out, because those kind of pickoffs easily cost you a game. They're slow, they're gradual, and they're subtle, but you get a number of deaths like that, and it breaks down your momentum. It breaks down your opportunity to really force a specific objective during that death time. And so they're going to go ahead and go for a 3-man smoke instead of what might be a 4-man smoke, and it's going to be Juggernaut just farming bottom instead of making use of this Omni Slash.
Yeah, he went for the early phase drums. Now is maxing Healing Ward, and LGD.CDEC, it's odd, because like they got the Midasa maybe, and it seems like at the same time it seems they understand they really need to be fighting now. Maybe the idea is they get kills 3v5 or 4v4, something like that. Yeah, if the Naga and the Razor are all farming, but generally, you ask most teams, they'd rather have the Naga if it's just going to be a trade of farm. Tron may get caught here, though. LGD.CDEC about to back off as Tron walks up the hill, and then 333 turns on him. It's goodbye, Tron. Just instantly cleaned up.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice for them to actually get something out of that smoke, but in the end, I really don't feel like it changes anything for them. It's the fact that they're not wasting time is great, but they need to keep these plays happening, because right now you could see the illusions being microed into the dire jungle. Luo is taking farm out of the enemy's hands, putting it in his own pocket, and he's already built up his BOTs. Like, he's forgot his Radiance only a few minutes back, and now BOTs already up and available. So even if they lose this tier 1 and Luo just keeps on farming throughout the jungle, this Radiance just exponentially enhances his potential to gain GPM, and from here it's going to be really hard to shut him down. They even are going to take the tier 1 in exchange.
Yeah, no jump in from the Bat Rider. Was thinking about it. He may try to cancel a TP or two. They've used the Moonlight Shadow, and he looks to jump in. But nobody will head top to defend in the end. Q actually gets the lift off in June. They'll pull him back into a stomp, double edge, Omni slash special. LGD.CDEC dropping a couple of big spells to get that kill, but well worth it.
Yeah, the Bat Rider is much more relevant of a pickoff because you can delay that Force Staff. You don't have to worry about one hero just getting pulled out of position. If you get the Force Staff on Bat Rider, it's like you get a 100% guaranteed arrow, because you can just stun somebody and put them in a really bad spot. That's what arrow does, but you can do it in a more controlled fashion. So nice to pick off the Bat Rider, but they need to start pushing on the back of that. Maybe try for Roche with a healing ward. I don't know, but they definitely need something behind this. And now the supports all by themselves.
Tough, though. He's got a haste. This has to be absolutely perfect on Luo, and it is. They get the kill. Really nicely done with the high ground vision, and IG having no wards or really ability to keep LGD.CDEC off their mid lane. Even popped the haster, and so a bit of a loss there, but this is where IG really need to get some control back in their jungle. And maybe we even see them look towards the gem soon. They do have a Naga with the Radiance, and, you know, you're looking at this map right now. Lane ward down in the mid lane, and, well, just for now, for the time being, no other wards from LGD.CDEC. But you have to imagine they'll be looking for some more deep wards and aggressive pickoffs to slow down the Naga's farm.
Yeah, but you also look at just the sentry wards, and that seems to be sufficient right now. They just dropped down 3 sentries, and one of them caught the active ward in the Radiant jungle. As long as they're able to claim one, that's the important thing. And so they at least know where it's safe to farm in general. This lane ward in the central part of the mid lane is really hard to find, but no matter the case, they feel more confident in where Luo can move. Right now, he's still keeping with his old ways and just taking down half the camps in the dire jungle. But yeah, as long as he has some safe place to farm and they can start moving about the map as a team, then they're going to be perfectly confident. Right now they have rank 1 Primal Split, they have the Song of the Siren, rank 2, and they do have Moonlight Shadow in just 5 seconds. So in aggression from IG, even though they're the passive team, they can still find kills here and there.
Meanwhile, smoke on mid. They're looking to jump 430 here. He's really off on an island. So he'll blink out, and I think LGD.CDEC were like, man, there's no way he's that far out without backup. Bottom lane onto maybe June will go. Gets the lasso off on him. He's got follow-up from Chuan here with the arrow. Perfectly chain stunned and quickly brought down. The Razor overextends and maybe once again pays the price. While, meanwhile, happily farming away top lane is Luo. He's taken over the dire jungle, as well as the mid and top lane.
And now that he's got 2 points in Song, it's
mid
very
lane, there's a split. Now diving in on QO. They throw out the boulder toss. The Fire Panda does his magic, and LGD.CDEC lose another. They almost lose the Skyreth Mage to an arrow from Chuan that was searching, but in the end, the Cyclone might turn this. In comes the Centaur Stomp! Double edge combination! Instantly annihilates the supports, but 430 still there after it ends to turn this one, and Luo hunts forward. He's got a Sawn available. If they ever need to retreat, he can do that, but for now, just creates the mirror images and starts chasing 333. They've lost 4. LGD.CDEC, the big play from the Centaur, simply no follow-up for that one. And once again, Luo survives.
They still got the Skyreth ulti out there, and they almost got the Bat Rider too, but it's just unfortunately insufficient at this stage. Maybe if the Juggernaut has a little bit more up his sleeve, he can really start bringing the hurt, but right now it's just a Maelstrom. Still like the build-up more than the Aghanim Scepter because you have more control over the Naga Siren's illusions, but long-term you're going to need just about everything. You need the Mjolnir, you need the Aghanim Scepter, Just anything where you can get a lot of right clicks in, because he obviously is a very low BAT hero, but still very easily kited, especially against IG's lineup.
And yeah, overall, I still worry for LGD.CDEC. They had the one nice kill in Luo, but you just look at his net worth plays. He's starting to really pull away from a Razor, and this is a Midas Razor, so still a hero that scales pretty well in the late game, as I was touching on earlier. Yet it's hard to keep up, and the other issue is that LGD.CDEC don't really have the best D push. It's all right, but they don't have the level of mobility that a Naga with Boots of Travel and a Bat Rider bring to the table. So I'm feeling like they still need to find more kills. Maybe sneak a Roshan if there's an opportunity, but nothing coming for them just yet, as IG can... It's still even in terms of gold, and actually experience going CDEC's way, so... On paper, the stats are there to say it's a decent game for them, and I think LGD.CDEC would do well in a 5v5 fight, but I don't know if they get those when this Naga split pushing all over the place.
Yeah. The only way they can force a 5v5 is in the Roche pit, but even then they're up against the Song, they're up against a Bat Rider. One arrow could be very problematic, so I'm actually not so confident if they go that route and try to go into it. Either way, they're going to just be trying to clear out these illusions with the Maelstrom later with a Plasma Field, and pretty much like you said, they just need to pick off. But it's so hard to kill the Naga Siren at this stage. Like, theoretically, you could spell steal a Flame Break, maybe.
There's your lasso directly onto XH in the mid lane. Then the arrow will find him as the jumping comes. And 430 only has Clap given up that way. So Rubik was not able to steal the split. 430 not going to give away a freebie. And now Luo pushes in the top. He's got his Manta, so the first big item after Radiance is now done, and from here it's just a Heart Butterfly, Diffusal away from, well, the beginnings of late game Naga. He's having a really good start, Luo is.
Yeah, even June's going to be going for BOTs here, so they just have so much control over the map. You can see they're getting vision up left and right with these Observer Wards freshly placed, and this is going to make it very difficult for CDEC to push out in any capacity that isn't extremely transparent. So they're getting the chokehold on them. They're going to be able to suppress them inside their base. A couple of outer tier towers remain, but even with those towers standing, it doesn't really feel like they have that territory under control. Like, they're just as in danger underneath their tower as we saw with the Bat Rider initiation.
Smoke from LGD, but 430 is quicker with the blink out. Oh, those reactions. And that's really what I mean with LGD.CDEC. Like, they have good initiation, but it's just not on the level of like a Blink Lasso or, you know, some sort of more instantaneous lockdown like a Chronosphere. And that split second when they blink in gives them a chance to retreat away to safety while the Centaur is swinging his axe in the air for the stomp.
3 still is able to clean up 2 of those Observer Wards I was talking about. Both of them were kind of on flat ground, but Ferrari, oh my gosh.
Big jump in on the mid lane, but the defensive disruption will keep him alive. He might be able to split after this, claps and then turns. Oh, this is not going to go well. Great disruption by Cheesebug to turn this fight. Now maybe lassoed and forced back off the engagement. Boulder Toss will chase him and brings him down in the end, while the Blade Fury from the Juggernaut doesn't really do a thing. Only hitting the Panda aspects as the arrow splits through. We'll find XH here. Q stunned up as well, dropping pretty quickly and brought down by the Naga Illusions. Now XH falls. And the chase is on. Garter, the last survivor. Only the Skywrath Mage here. And Naga wasn't even in that fight. 430 blinking into the trees. Won't be able to make it over the tree line, so he'll TP out to safety in the end. But that was without the Naga. She was off split pushing bottom lane. Just sending an illusion for some Riptide.
That fucking disruption was like game deciding. Like right there, that defensive disruption just turned everything back in favor of IG. I mean, they're already up and on the mend. They were already moving towards the comeback and the late game momentum, but turning that fight, instead of making it a Brewmaster pickoff, getting the split, getting all those kills, getting 2 gems taken. One was their own on the Mirana originally, but then there is the one that was picked up and stolen from Garter. So a lot of gold handed over to IG there. The graphs are just going to be, yeah, no surprise there, just skyrocketing in favor of IG, and it was all on the back of the disruption. What should have been an easy pick for CDEC is instead highly contested and a disastrous fight. That didn't even involve the Naga, as you mentioned.
And now mid lane, at least the tower will get beat denied by LGD.CDEC. Still, the Naga continues to exert her pressure all over the map, up to 17k net worth. I mean, you go back 4 or 5 minutes ago, it was a 1k lead, Blaze, and well, that's the beauty of taking every other tower by 27 minutes and just not really dying this game. Just the 1 death mid, I believe. Yeah, sitting 1-1 and 6. Not an exciting game for the Naga, but it's just been perfect play around that pick from IG. Constant aggression by the supports in the laning stage. They got the first blood. They set up the Batrider for a good start. They've just created space while Luo takes advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't know if they can get in range for the song, though. Maybe Bat can go in for a attempt at Aegis Snipe. They're not even going to finish the Roche at that half HP.
They just don't Roche quickly enough.
No, not at all. I mean, they don't have... Like, that's what I was talking about with the level 1 Roche Scout, is, like, they don't have Roche heroes. They can Healing Ward sustain, but they certainly cannot kill it in any quick fashion. So now it's completely under control by the Moonlight Shadow, the Fire Flying June over the pit, and he's got a gem. He knows what he's up against, and he'll pull him right up onto the cliff.
Does get purged during the lasso. Now maybe Soul Catcher on the high ground, but the Omni Slash on Cheesebug nearly kills him off. Then the defensive disruption, followed by a Force Staff, keeps Cheesebug alive, but this is while 430 dove in really deep and ended up getting picked off. I believe got silenced by Skywrath and just couldn't use his combo.
Full combo from Garter there, and a good stun from Centaur as well. Maybe he is stuck on the high ground here and will not get arrowed. Interesting low ground to high ground animation there, but
he's got a little like playground here, but no actual way out. So he'll be forced to TP off of the fight.
Good pick off on the Brewmaster. The Silence, Mystic Flare, and the Centaur stun and Double Edge was what was able to seal his fate very, very quickly, but still, in this case, IG can just fall back to farming. They know that Roche isn't going down too quickly, and they can go and invade the pit very shortly. With the Brewmaster up, the Song of Siren available, it's still theirs to control.
Well, it is starting to drop here. They're going to have to
slow again on the high ground! Maybe! What the hell? He doesn't have a TP this time.
Oh no, he just TP'd back mid. The Flame Break pushed him up onto the high ground. There's an arrow scouting for this, and now Luo marches forward, but doesn't fully go into the pit. I think they know he's up there too. There was a ping from Cheesebug, and well, they actually do get maybe out safely from the tree line.
Garter just got that Force Staff, but that's so frustrating.
June just made his swoop through. If he was still sitting up here, that would just be a guaranteed Roche for IG.
Awkward spot for them to be in, but
that's without the Brew alive. Like, you just see how hard it is for LGD.CDEC to do Roche. It's slow, and it's just risky to do it against IG's draft. Arrows constantly coming from everywhere. Batrider, who's just king of the pit, and not to mention the Brew split and the song potential for the Roche steal as well. It's a really it's not a good lineup to try to sneak Roche on or go into the Roche pit when you're on even footing.
Yeah, and I think that's one aspect of this game that really is a faction contextual. Like the aspect that they picked on Dire all these heroes that can't do Roche, can't fight in the pit, and they let go all these heroes that certainly can.
Yeah, like compare that to EG, like what we saw out of EG and WC. Your Death Prophet, early Alchemist picks, very heavy minus armor lineups almost every game.
Yeah, and not even a medallion looking at LGD.CDEC. So it really doesn't seem like it's centered around the faction very well. They don't look at the Dire and say, this is a great opportunity for us to get, you know, a couple free levels, a couple free lives from early Roche or two. It's one where they just, like, they wanted to win their lanes. They wanted to just exert pressure through heroes that they're very comfortable with. But in the end, they just don't do enough against the Naga Siren. They don't control Roche, which is their key objective, to actually pushing in and trying to take high ground. And now you look at the state of affairs. A 20,000 net worth Naga Siren, Manta style, Diffusal 1, Radiance BOTs. Like, she can pick up anything she wants right now. Butterfly, she can go for Diffusal 2, of course. And there's really very little that CDEC can do to in any way guarantee a kill. I mean, the Manta alone can nullify the silence effect from the Skywrath Mage, and from there you just can't pin her down.
Not to mention she's got the defensive Diffusal Blade if needed as well, so very, very difficult to kill off this Naga Siren. And we see IG slowly working on Roshan. 430 the one tanking it and critting it down. Then Garter trying to do a bit of scouting slash warding. Will pay the ultimate price for that. Yeah, it looks like he wanted to drop a ward near the Roche pit, but well, now they're down to Skywrath Mage, and still XH will come in. Looking to contest this. Blade Fury's his way through the Son of the Siren. Can he jack the Aegis? He's there! He steals it! What a snatch by XH! Oh, what a sensational play, but to what end? Now they've Brew split. They'll lose the Aegis quickly here. Q's on the run. Remember, no Skywrath Mage for this, so they've already down 3 heroes. They'll get the Juggernaut back for a second fight. Maybe dives directly into everyone, and well, it was a great moment there from the Juggernaut from XH, but the follow-up was sorely, sorely lacking. He gets netted after the Blade Fury. No TP out. They'll be losing XH here again. Clapped down by the Panda Wall on the south side of the fight. 3-3-3. TP's out in the middle of a flame break going off. Literally the world burning around him. That was still a great snatch though, man. Oh, the plays.
Yeah, like, obviously it was a suicidal endeavor from the entire lineup of LGD.CDEC. There was no way they win that fight after having just lost the Skywrath. But it's pulling off a flashy maneuver at the very least, keeping it interesting. Juggernaut spinning into Song and grabbing Aegis, which actually stayed on the deck for almost a full second there.
Yeah, that wasn't just a good play by the Juggernaut. That was a pick the damn Aegis up IG moment as well. But hey, an Aegis snatch is an Aegis snatch, man. But now the siege begins in earnest. And Naga, she can be everywhere for this one. She'll go towards mid. I mean, there's really nothing to push in, or she'd be doing that. It's going to grab her heart first, and then we could see Luo join his team. I honestly think he's strong enough just to fight LGD.CDEC head on, but I'll keep the lanes pushed in if he chooses. That's also an option.
So they're very well hedged in at this point. They have no control over their own jungle. They can't farm at any point, and I just don't see a comeback. Unfortunately, I hate to just stack it on, but that's the state of affairs for LGD.CDEC.
Prognosis, incurable.
Yeah, that's just about it.
This is stage 4, man. This is the final stage of the Naga. There's just no breaking out at this point. She's got him in her claws. Oh, I guess she doesn't have claws. Whatever they are.
Flippers? Oh.
Yeah.
Fins?
Not sure.
But, yeah, we've got Pipe on the Centaur. I guess that's good news. A couple of 4-staffs will always help, but does it really change anything? I'm afraid not. And this is where it goes back to the Midas pickup on the Razor instead of the Mechanism. He is getting a decent amount of gold. A reliable gold is up to 1250. He's been able to farm up the Aghanims, and despite his relatively low GPM outside of the Midas, he's still moving in towards what looks to be an Assault Cross. But even then, is it really going to change too much? And I just got to say that I don't think so. I mean, they could have some big throws from IG, and that's always possible in Dota 2, of course, no matter the team, no matter the caliber. We have seen it plenty of times, but this game almost seems unthrowable. That's how far gone they are.
Yeah, it's like you said. Midas on Razor against a free farm, ultra greedy Radiance Rush Naga. No, not even the Reign of Aquila. And even when Arteezy would go pretty much straight for it, I'd say 9 games out of 10, I'd see him get the Reign of Aquila first. And he was one of the players who just went straight for it. You compare that to Miracle, he'd often pick up drums along the way. I remember Soul Rings occasionally from him, though I think he shied away from that build recently, but they didn't punish Luo's greed. They tried to fight it with a little greed. That's the other thing. Is they didn't even go all right, we're gonna let Naga get a Radiance, but we're gonna get 4 Midases to make up for it. They just got 1, and
yeah,
I don't know if 4 Midases would have been a good idea either, but I think like you said, just getting the mech instead, or even just a point boost or something to just apply pressure and force some early engagements. Didn't happen, and now the siege will begin.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if this Juggernaut was an Ember Spirit, then they could look at the game that way. But because, just comparatively speaking, the way they clear illusions is just not anywhere near as cost efficient, it's not going to work. And obviously Ember would have had problems with the early game, with the disruption into Arrow and so on. But these tanky illusions, the hard up on them, able to just jump in the base and take almost all of Rubik's life. He's down to 80 HP!
Back
80
to the
HP
well.
on the Rubik, and back to the fountain. Oh, getting flashbacks to there was a game where I believe it was Kuro that got a dieback against Naga Illusions trying to get
Jumping on Luo, but there's no follow-up as 333 hesitated on a Stampede and pays with his life instantly. Now the Brew Split has been used, and onto XH they will go. I believe Omni Slash, yeah, but just not even scratching IG's collective might. They'll bring him down with a few more auto attacks. Cheesebug the one to get that kill, and now the Naga splits again. Kills off Q and 1 right click. Maybe he's going to be next. It's 4 down, and IG run LGD.CDEC over. They force out the 36-minute GG, but this one felt like it was over a lot earlier. Just strategically, LGD.CDEC getting wiped in their own base as the game ends. Just had to have more aggression, man. Didn't 5-man with the healing ward. If you wanna pick Juggernaut as a core, you gotta push. And they did a little bit, but only a little.
Yeah, they just didn't get enough across the map. Maybe it was the laning phase that set them off a little bit. They didn't feel as confident going out after that. But I would have to chalk it up to mechanism lacking. They don't have, like you said, the healing ward at early ranks isn't going to do enough, and they just didn't have the sustain for their push. They didn't have a witch doctor. They didn't have anything but the healing ward to really keep their creeps alive.
It
And
was also just the lane as well. Like you look at the supports of, you look at the supports of IG. Their supports did way more than what LGD.CDEC
yeah,
accomplished, and they had the Skyreth Mage, Rubik, who's a decent support to roam with the Mage. They didn't get any kills. I mean, they were just reactionary, defensive. That's not where a Skyreth Mage is going to shine. So I feel like also the support play just wasn't quite there, Blaze. But yeah, guys, with that being said, that's going to wrap up our second match of the day. We've still got 2 more coming your way on day 1 of Starladder China. Coming up next, we're going to have Vici Gaming versus Lai Gaming, which is, I believe, is it some of the new Element guys, I want to say? Or is it Rise? No, you know, I think it's some of the old Rising Stars guys. I believe I saw Supers on this team. Let's see, who else is on their team? They've got Lai Gaming. Yeah, you've got Super, XTT, XDD, and then RS 5400 and Shao Z, I think it is. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, looking forward to seeing them. Maybe we'll see Super's Wisp back in action. That's the other Super, by the way, not DK Super. So, or not DK, Jesus Christ.
that's
yeah,
all.
Vici Gaming Super, I guess. Well, with that being said, guys, we'll take a quick break. I'm LD, he's Blaze. You can follow him at Blaze Cassie, myself at LD Dota. You're watching Starladder Season 10 China. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned.